When I saw that Timber, Saka and Thiago were all benched last night, I thought I was in for another disaster. But we actually did all right. I scored 66 points and I'm in 353k overall. Obviously, we've still got Man United still to play. And in this video, I'm going to talk through my transfer plans for game week 15. All right, then we'll start by looking at how my team has gotten on. Like I said, 66 points, 353k overall. I had, well, Timber benched, Saka benched. He obviously came off the bench and saved me with a goal, and Thiago benched. Raya started the Arsenal game. Obviously, they kept a clean sheet. He made a phenomenal save from one of the Brentford corners, so we're grateful for that, and we got our 6 points there. Chow was my transfer in this week. I brought him for Senesi because, well, I thought the Bournemouth defence had been on a fair downward trend recently, and I saw the couple of fixtures that Newcastle had in Tottenham at home and Burnley at home coming up. I thought, oh, these are good fixtures, and this guy seems to be the standout Newcastle defender. I went for him. Obviously, they conceded a couple of goals to Tottenham. Just overall, though, it was a bit of a weird game week with how some of the results played out, right? I don't have a Chelsea player. They obviously lost to Leeds. Man City conceded 4 goals to Fulham. It was a weird game week. I think, you know, the rotation that some of these Champions League teams have faced, or faced, the volume of fixtures to force the rotation, I should say, have faced. Some teams looking leggy. You know, there was always going to be some swingy results, I felt, and some odd benchings. I was always prepared for that. Doesn't make it any less annoying, though. Gahey, 14 points from him. So he actually, very impressed with Gahey. He matched Munoz. So Munoz scored in that game, kept a clean sheet, and scored 14 points. Whereas Gahey, he got an assist, DEFCON, maximum bonus, kept the clean sheet, also scored 14 points. So if anyone out there has got Gahey and Munoz in their defence, fair play to you. But I'll take the points from Gahey. Midfield, Iliman Ndiaye. I've got 1 week left of him in my team before he has to go for AFCON. Not been great in recent game weeks, but he did get a 3-pointer. It's better than nothing, isn't it? Bruno Fernandes is still to play. I'm sure a fair few people watching this video have him as captain. There is certainly a lot of chat going around as to whether he's actually fit to play the game. We'll obviously find out when Man United announce their team. That would be annoying because you can see there my bench is looking a little bit light. Well, Anderson's on the bench, but he conceded 5 goals to Man City. So yeah, Bruno Fernandes potentially being benched is worrying me. We'll see what happens. I mean, I guess I'm less worried because I don't have him captained, but then ultimately, if I had him captained, you're getting Haaland as your vice anyway, aren't you? Saka, goal off the bench to secure the 2-0 win for Arsenal against Brentford. I had a little bit of doubt about, to be honest, both Timber and Saka being benched, but you couldn't sell them, right? There's no possible way I could have sold Saka or Timber because I was slightly scared about them being benched in Game Week 14. That just doesn't make sense. So we kept hold of him. He got his goal. I'll take the points. Semenyo, he's blanked in a number of games in a row now. And I've said on my videos that I'm sure he is a perfectly fine option because, well, he's going to start every game going forwards for 90 minutes. He got DEFCON in Game Week 14. That was where his points came from. Fair enough. It's better than nothing. Only 2 points off what Saka got from a goal, but he has been quiet in terms of actual returns. He still had his chances. But they got Chelsea away coming up as their next fixture. I think of all the players I'm looking at in this team, there are 2 that I could potentially really get rid of, and Semenyo is one of them. Igor Thiago, there was a little bit of doubt about him starting against Arsenal anyway, just with, I think he picked up a knock in his last game. I was obviously conscious that could happen. It did happen. He only got 1 point. It is what it is. I was reluctant even to have Thiago against Arsenal, really. It was one of the things that was potentially blocking me from bringing him in Game Week 13 when I did it. He played Burnley, that's great. But then I knew he'd have Arsenal this week. I guess, well, it's fine, isn't it? Mateta, he's the other one that I could potentially be getting rid of, right? I just think Palace overall, we didn't cover this with Gahey because I felt like I needed to only say positive things about Gahey. But Palace just look leggy. And with Sarr being out, there's even less options for, you know, Mateta. I have a worry that he could be benched. Mateta could be benched in Game Week 15. We'll see as time goes on. And then Haaland was my captain. I haven't put the armband on him, but he was my captain. 28 points. a goal and 2 assists. And I'd actually say, as a non-Bruno Fernandes captain, one who captained Haaland, was close to going Bruno Fernandes at times. Honestly, I almost feel, we'll see how the game plays out. You might watch this after the Man United game and you can either laugh at me or understand where I'm coming from. I don't necessarily think Haaland did quite enough in that game to make me feel comfortable. I made the right call. He hit the post twice. Had he scored a hat-trick and got 2 assists, it's a different story, right? It might be one of the best FPL captains in history, but he didn't. 14 points he scored in that game, which is a very good total. Don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful for the points. But Bruno Fernandes, should he start against West Ham, could quite easily match that. I think all he needs is probably a couple of attacking returns like it's easy, a penalty, an assist, DEFCON and bonus points, and he's probably outscored Haaland. So all eyes on the Man United and West Ham lineup later on, I guess, and you'll see, if you're watching this after the video, we'll know what's happened. I just wanted to interrupt myself to quickly say, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the Golden Goal channel. I'm trying my best to hit 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Most people that watch these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel, so if you could help me out, just hit subscribe down below, please. All right then, so now we look ahead at game week 15. I've got 1 free transfer, obviously, and 0.4 million in the bank. I think this game week 15 transfer is a really unique one, right? Because in 16, obviously, we get the 5 free transfers for AFCON. And there's very rarely times in FPL where you can afford to have a 1-week punt on a player. But this week really is one of them. So I mentioned earlier, there's a couple of players I could potentially get rid of, right? One of them being Semenyo and another one of them being Mateta, because I am worried about where Mateta's rotation is going to come. I think Palace have got 2 or 3 games a week right up until January with European competition, UK Cup competition, and obviously the Premier League. It's a ridiculous amount of fixtures and a really thin, and, well, they've got Sarr injured and off to AFCON. I'm worried. But the 1-week punt, right? Most people probably thinking Phil Foden. The guy is in ridiculous form at the moment. This is just his last 2 games. 4 goals from his last 2 games, 5 shots inside the box. But here's a couple of points about Phil Foden, right? Historically in FPL, this is certainly an observation that I've had. He is a purple patchy player, I would say. There are times where Phil Foden plays and is just in absolutely electric form. And if you can hop on him in FPL during those times, you're going to be rewarded, right? But Phil Foden suffers from the same fate that all Man City players do, in that they could be subject to Pep Roulette. I don't think the plan was for Foden to play as many minutes as he had to against Fulham. It was only the nature of the game and the fact that Fulham scored 4 goals to make it 5-4 that he stayed on the pitch for as long as he did. I think Pep was hoping to get a commanding lead, sub him early, rest him up so he can play against Sunderland, and then they've got Real Madrid in the Champions League next week. So all of this in mind, you've played more minutes than you probably should have done against Fulham. You've got Sunderland at home up next, who are a promoted team. Don't get me wrong, Sunderland are no pushovers, but, well, they're a very good team, actually. But you've got Real Madrid next week. I do think there is a risk that Phil Foden could be benched in Game Week 15. But the question is it worth, taking that risk on a player that is in such good form at the moment? I don't really need to worry about any of that, because I look at my team here, and you might think, well, I can't even do it with the money you've got here. Semenyo, with the price that I bought him at, I can only sell him for 7.5. I can't do Njai to him. I don't think there's any reason to get rid of Bruno Fernandes ahead of Wolves, and I don't think I can sell Saka either. So with the money I have in the bank, to be honest, I can't afford Phil Foden, but I wanted to talk about it like I almost could, because I think a lot of people will be considering it, and I would just say, tread with caution on Phil Foden. He's also scored 4 goals from 1.15 XG, which does suggest it is, again, a bit of a purple patch. If you can catch it, great. And I do think he is a sensible transfer in, but I would just be, with the fixtures they've got coming up, I would just be worried about, rotation against Sunderland. They've got pretty much, I think, all of their frontline players fit now to Man City. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see him benched. Just wanted to talk quickly about the FPL Cartel, a little project I've started with my very good mate and fellow YouTuber, FPL Tom. Both of us are in the Discord to help you with your FPL teams. Multiple different rooms, one for the time just between our streams finishing and the deadline. We've got team reviews, and there's also a venting corner that I had to create at the weekend, given how bad my FPL team has done in some weeks. And we're also doing an exclusive weekly podcast. We're in the chat all the time to help you with your teams. If you like the sound of that, we're also offering a 30-day free trial when you sign up, so you get an idea of what you're getting. I think everyone in there is pretty happy with what they're getting at the moment. If anyone is in the cartel, please let me know in the comments and tell me if you're enjoying it or not. And yeah, use the link, FPL Cartel link in the description below. I'm just looking back at this team, right, because, yeah, we just spoke about Foden and I can't get him. There's 2 points that I'm worried about, right? One is Mateta and potential rotation, and another is Semenyo. Which of these two players... Well, I also, right, I have a thing where I've got Anderson sitting on my bench as well. So there could be a scenario, if we really believe that Mateta is going to be benched, there could be a scenario where I just start Anderson and bench Mateta. I think that's a plausible way of playing it, to be honest, especially considering how leggy Palace have looked. I genuinely fancy Fulham to get something in that game at home. They played really well, I thought, against Man City. Unlucky not to get something out of it, albeit they did concede 5 goals. But at the same time, I don't think starting Anderson over Mateta is like the end of the world if that did play out. So that probably means that Mateta isn't an immediate sell. And also next week, when he plays Man City, we'll have 5 free transfers. And I'll talk a little bit about what I plan to spend those transfers on. Semenyo, though, I've talked about him in videos saying that he's a perfectly fine option. And he is. I fully believe that. He's still getting a decent amount of chances. He's going to play every game for 90 minutes. Obviously, Ghana didn't qualify for AFCON. There's nothing wrong, I think, with Semenyo as an option. But I'm looking at this one magical free transfer we get for game week 15, right? And, well, it's kind of a use it or lose it transfer because it becomes 5 for everyone next week. So you kind of have to use your transfers this week. And I think what it does is it sets us up really nicely. I was getting excited about my 1 week punt. It sets us up to have a 1 week punt. I really do think that. And to be honest, I think the player I'm looking to bring in isn't even one for like 1 week. I think it could be one that's a long-term pick. What I've got here is top players for expected points for game week 15 according to Solio. There's a link to Solio in the description if you want to check this out. It's got expected points data for all players. Much like the team graphic I do, by the way. All of the expected points below these players and data around my team comes from Fantasy Football Hub. You can sign up to that using the link in the description below as well. Cunha is the name that is standing out to me. Now, obviously, Man United have not played West Ham in Game Week 14. We don't know what the Man United team looks like at the time that I'm recording this video. Cunha could play in that game and get injured and it's all ruined. But at the same time, I do think he's a really decent 1 week punt to bring into my team. The stats he's put up this season have not really been amazing. 1 goal from 10 games. But he's put up more XG than he has scored goals, which is the total opposite of what he did for Wolves last season. The fixtures he's got coming up, I think, are pretty good. Plays Wolves twice in the next 5 weeks. Outside of that is Bournemouth, Villa and Newcastle. Not the worst set of fixtures. And to be honest, if I really wanted to, I could just get rid of him in game week 16 when I get the 5 free transfers. The thing for me that's big with Cunha is, well, over the long term, is, well, number one, short term is Sesko is injured, isn't he? So you'd like to think if Cunha gets back into the Man United team, he plays as the number 9. And second of all, Mbeumo is off to AFCON. And Mbeumo has been fulfilling a role for Man United as their main sort of goal threat. Someone will need to take that place. Is it going to be Mason Mount? Probably not. Is it going to be, well, I think Ahmad's off to AFCON as well. Is it going to be Sesko? Based on this season, probably not. Who is the one man who's actually got a record of Premier League goals? It's Cunha. So I think he could potentially take up that sort of main goal threat role for United over the coming weeks. And the fixtures for United are pretty good, as we've established. Yes, his stats this season have not been amazing, but I think we'll see how that United game goes. I might be getting through this video and then have egg on my face after it. But I just look at all the other options we have ahead of game week 15, and I'm just not all that inspired by many of them. I don't want to pick Salah. I've already got Bruno, Fernandes and Haaland. I can't get to Phil Foden. We'll talk about Palmer in a second. I've already got Chow and Welbeck. Maybe I could go for Welbeck actually instead of Mateta. That's another shout. You know, Welbeck is a perfectly sensible shout too. But I just can't help but think Cunha's a good option. Let me know what you think of that transfer in the comments. I'm also left thinking, what can I do with this team when I get 5 free transfers? Because on the whole, I'm fairly happy with it. But come game week 16, I think there are some players that I might potentially want to get rid of, right? I think Semenyo is one. Njai's going to have to go. Mateta's probably going to have to go as well. I think I could see myself moving to a 3-5-2, and not because I don't think he's done very well, but other goalkeepers are getting close to his points for a lot less money. I think I could also potentially sacrifice someone like David Raya. Not because I don't think he's performing well, because I think I could do similar for cheaper and upgrade my team elsewhere. I just wanted to show you as well projected goals for the coming weeks in terms of potential transfer targets of exciting players to bring in, I guess. We've got Man City, Liverpool and Arsenal as the top three. Man United fourth. I think this further backs up, Man United are the fourth top team for projected goals over the next few weeks. I think that further backs up potentially Cunha being an option in the game. Newcastle are up there as well, but I just don't trust Newcastle in terms of who will start for them. Chelsea are interesting. Had they not lost to Leeds, I think I'd be all over this, but it was a weird week for them against Leeds, all basically down to, I think, the defensive rotation that they made. Tosin just had an absolute nightmare in that game. The one player, I've spoken about him on videos and on my shorts and stuff, the one player that I'm really thinking could be a game changer in FPL is Cole Palmer. Even though they lost to Leeds, I still think Chelsea are amongst the three best teams in the Premier League at the moment, right? I think there are three that are not running away with it, but three that are probably clearly the best. Arsenal, obviously, Man City and Chelsea. And what you've got in Cole Palmer is the best player, the talisman for one of the teams that are performing really well in the league this season. And one of the things you can say about Cole Palmer, certainly when he's fit and in previous seasons, is he plays every game for 90 minutes. And I spoke about this with Semenyo, and one of the reasons why one of the reasons I think you could keep him is because of how secure his minutes are. I think that's such an important thing in FPL. And it's not just that. He's the penalty taker for Chelsea as well, and he should have scored against Leeds as well. He had a chance basically as soon as he got onto the pitch to score. Ball crossed in like along the ground in the box, and he side-footed it wide from about 12 yards out. It was really quite a good chance. So he had a chance almost immediately, and I just think he's great, isn't he, Cole Palmer? I know he didn't have the best of times of it towards the back end of last season. I certainly didn't have him in FPL, didn't really rate him all that much in the Premier League at the time, but we later found out obviously he was struggling with injury. Did well in the Club World Cup as well, to be fair. Phenomenal game against PSG. This is Chelsea's guy, and I think he could be a good addition to the team. Exactly how I make all that work, I'm not sure yet, but I think selling someone like Mateta, he's probably worth about 8 million to me now if I sold him. Obviously, Njai can go down. I could probably get Elliot Anderson. I could do Mateta, downgrade him to like a minimum price striker. Njai could go down to Elliot Anderson. I get Palmer in for, who have I got there? Get Palmer in for Potts, and then maybe downgrade a Raya as well, so I could potentially have enough money to get Cole Palmer in. Something like that I think could work. I could also potentially, got Mark Gahey sitting in here, and a team that I say are leggy in Palace, he's 5 million. I could probably downgrade him as well if I needed to someone cheaper. He would just downgrade him to Chris Richards, which sounds a little bit mad, but yeah. I could see myself using a majority of those 5 free transfers to rearrange my team and bring in Cole Palmer, because the way I see the game going at the moment, the best team is probably either a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2 with Haaland and Thiago just as your two strikers, because Haaland's obviously just running away with it. Thiago has got good fixtures coming up. Tottenham away, Leeds at home, Wolves away. Great fixtures for him. He's the second most goals for a Premier League striker, I think, or maybe even second overall in the league. And yeah, 5 in midfield of some description. So yeah, that's my plan this week. Looking to do Semenyo to Cunha. I don't need to worry about price changes or anything. I have the exact money to do it, but as things stand, it doesn't look like Semenyo is going to go down. Doesn't look like Cunha is going to go up, unless, of course, Cunha starts in Game Week 14, scores 3 goals, and then everyone's going to buy him. So we'll have to keep track of that. But yeah, if you've got any other suggestions for my team, please do let me know in the comments, but that's what I'm thinking at the moment. All right, well, that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that and found it useful or just interesting. Please do leave me a like rating if you did. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Golden Goal channel, which should be just there. I'll use my other finger. It should be just there on your screen. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. And yeah, subscribe, please. I'm trying to hit 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year. If you haven't already subscribed to the Golden Goal channel, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.